everyone, welcome to the Unit 4 review. This review covers chapters 3 and 8 in your Ready to Write textbook. In chapter 3, we talked about time order organization, and time order organization is chronological. Remember, chrono means time. So we also talked about a lot of different transitions, time order transitions, and these can be found on page 30 of your textbook. Remember, transitions always go at the beginning of the sentence and are always followed by a comma. Also, don't forget to not use the same transition multiple times in the same paragraph, as it can bore your reader. Chapter 3 also discussed 4 different prepositions of time. Oops. Blue ivy. Blue ivy. Chapter 3 also discussed 5 different prepositions of time: at, from, to, in, and on. So I want to review those very quickly for you. At is only to be used with specific times and the phrase at night. From and to are used together to denote a span of time. In is used with parts of the day, in the evening, in the morning, months, in October, in February, years, in 1924, in 1986, and seasons, in the fall, in the autumn, and so on. On goes with days of the week and specific dates: on Monday, on Tuesday, on April 23rd, on September 26th. So remember, when you are using these prepositions of time, that they go with specific times. Chapter 3 also discussed complex sentences. And remember, a complex sentence has 2 parts: an independent clause, which is a subject verb that can stand alone by itself, and a dependent clause, which contains something called a subordinating conjunction. Now, we talked about 2 different structures. We talked about a subordinating conjunction at the beginning, followed by a verb and an object with a comma, and then followed by an independent clause, a subject and a verb, looking at example number 1. So, after I went home, I took a nap. After is our subordinating conjunction. I, the subject, went, the verb, our object is home. Then we've got a comma to separate this dependent clause from the independent clause, where we have I as the subject, took as the verb, and a nap as the object. The second structure we talked about had our independent clause at the beginning of the sentence. So, I, the subject, took the verb, a nap, the object, then our subordinating conjunction with no comma. So this is unlike structure number 1. I, the subject, went, the verb, and home is our object. In chapter 3, we talked about 2 subordinating conjunctions. We talked about before and after. We listed many in class, but these are the 2 that you need to remember for the test. Now, moving on to chapter 8. Chapter 8 is all about explaining a process. And a process is anything that has a series of steps. Okay? Processes are told in time order. Remember, you are teaching someone how to do something, so you need to go in the proper order. Processes also have imperative sentences or commands. Remember, imperative sentences look like they do not have a subject. The subject is always implied. So in the phrase, do this, the subject of that sentence is shoot. Blue ivy. So now we're moving on to chapter 8. Chapter 8 talks about explaining processes. And processes are anything with a series of steps, where you perhaps are teaching someone how to do something, or educating someone about the steps it takes to complete a certain objective or goal. Process is always told in time order, so first, second, third, and so on. This really connects with the information we learned in chapter 3, so don't forget that information. Process also uses imperative sentences, sentences that look like they don't have a subject because they begin with the base form of the verb, but their implied subject is actually you. So looking at the example, the phrase do this, the subject is you, but it's not written. It's understood. If I tell you do this or study for this test, I'm talking to you, but I don't have to state you. Now, remember, when you are talking about topic sentences, it's always important to first of all identify the subject. What is the author teaching you how to do, or what are you teaching the reader to do? And then the controlling idea is going to contain that verb. So, remember that topic sentence skeleton that we went over in class. Verb, ing, a noun is adjective. Now, that may look complex at first, but let's fill it in and look at it in practice. So, building a ship is hard to do. The topic, ships. What are they telling us about ships? How to build them. Studying for a test is a simple process. What is the topic? The test. What is the controlling idea? How to study. Making friends is challenging. What's the topic? Friends. What's the controlling idea? How to make them. So if you go back and you remember this topic sentence skeleton, it's very easy to create a good topic sentence. Now, on the test, these are things you will be expected to do. You will be expected to put ideas in time order. You will also be expected to put complex sentences in order. You will also be expected to use the prepositions of time in sentences, as well as answer questions about complex sentences. And of course, I will ask you to write a paragraph about a process. So if you go back and you review chapters 3 and 8 and are able to do all of these things that I've listed here, you should do fine on the test. So good luck studying, and I can't wait to see what you have learned on this test. Bye.